Dan, I have a sandwich for you. I have a
Oh,
I have a
no.
sandwich for you, Dan.
Wow, and I'm not even hungry, but hey, I'll take it. Free
This
lunch?
is
Yeah.
this is not the kind of sandwich you eat.
Uh-oh. Oh no. What
Yeah.
kind of sandwich is this?
It is called a criticism sandwich.
Oh, well, and explain what that is, please, because I think I know, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, a criticism sandwich is a technique that a person uses to instruct someone else without ticking them off.
Huh. Okay. And what is your sandwich for me?
Well, I have I've been throughout my career, my corporate career, you run across people who may be good at their job, counting numbers and moving decimal points or putting things on shelves. But if they have a leadership position that requires human interaction with others, and sometimes they lack the ability help others, to help other people figure out what's going on. So when they try to tell them your performance isn't any good, fix it, they are armed with this technique, and it is called the criticism sandwich.
So they try to, is it like kind of like sugarcoating something like, or
Well, yeah. So my experience is a criticism sandwich is usually taught to people who lack human interaction abilities, where
social
they
skills?
just can't.
Yes.
Yeah, social skills. They lack the social skills to be a leader, so they arm them with these rigid techniques, to help them learn how to motivate people. So the criticism sandwich is, if you have the thing that's the issue at hand. Um, you don't know how to stack you don't know how to stack wood, for example. The criticism sandwich is you sandwich that bad between two goods. For instance, thank you for showing up for work today. You are always punctual. You are clueless on stacking firewood. Nice shoes. Yeah.
I see. Okay, okay. I'm following you now. That I got this. Yep.
I
Yeah.
Where I used to work before, this one lady I was friends with, her boss, she was pretty she's pretty mean. She was good at what she did, but she wasn't good with people. So one of her go-tos was the criticism sandwich, and her team would always laugh after meetings. She says she would literally say, uh, you showed up for work on time today. You're totally incompetent. Nice shoes." She said
So- yeah.
that was about the essence of the criticism sandwich. So it's
Wow.
like, I think people though that have a nice demeanor about them, or they're comfortable, or like if you were a doctor, they say you have a bedside manner. Some managers don't need to use a criticism sandwich. They can express an area to improve in a way that gets the message across while maintaining morale.
Yeah.
And when I hear a person employing the criticism sandwich, I start stereotyping. I start forming my own conclusions that this person here struggles with human interaction. And I was the recipient of a criticism sandwich last week.
Really? Oh.
I was, yeah, me of all people, a firewood delivery guy. And I have said this in the past: when I'm delivering to restaurants, you don't show up at lunchtime. That's like all hands are on deck.
Yeah. Busy time.
Well, this one restaurant I deliver to, however, the manager says it's best if I do show up at lunchtime, because I don't plug up their loading dock, because there's always these other trucks are coming in, the beer truck, the wine truck, the
Okay.
vegetables, the
Yep.
steak trucks. Okay. Well, when the firewood guy is at the loading dock, I plug up the loading dock for over an hour by the time I'm unloading. So the agreement is I show up at lunchtime, and because there's no deliveries at lunchtime, but they tolerate me. Well, everything's fine until a regional manager for the restaurant is on site. And this guy, I'm drawing my stereotypes here. He probably sits in his office in Los Angeles or somewhere, and once a year he comes out to visit stores and he has to feel useful. So this guy walks up to me and he says, mind you, I'm smart enough to know not to get the manager in trouble. So I do a very good job playing dumb. So he comes up to me and he says, uh, "You're the firewood guy." I'm like, I'm soaked in sweat, standing next to this truck with big red letters that say firewood down the side of it. And I said, "Well, yes, I am." He says, "I really want to thank you for our partnership. You are doing a great job." Then he says, "Don't ever show up for lunch to make your deliveries." And then he says, "Nice shoes." He says, just,
Nice truck.
yeah, nice truck. He says, so he gave me the criticism sandwich. So I just grinned and bared it and all, because my job is to not get the manager in trouble, because he was freelancing and just making the policy that works best for their unit, which obviously doesn't conform to their corporate structure. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyhow, I found it degrading, but at the same time, I found it amusing that this guy, and I was looking at him. He just struck me as a bean counter that gets out of his office like once a year, and he needed to make himself feel like he was important.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
was employing the new technique that he was taught at his board meeting the week before. He gave me that criticism sandwich. So you should try that sometimes, Dan. If you're if you can't get your wife to work enough for you, she's stacking too slow in the wood yard,
Yeah.
use the criticism sandwich on her.
I don't know if I'd be very good at that technique because I struggle giving compliments, and if I'd have to give two of them with the criticism in between, I would really have a hard time, I think, employing that. I mean, I don't have a problem, just saying what's on my mind, and if it's something wrong, I think that's suits me better. Yeah, I don't think
You
I could
think?
do the criticism sandwich. No.
I don't think it really needs to be employed in the wood yard, especially if you're a sole proprietor.
Yeah, probably not.
I know growing up, my parents did not employ the criticism sandwich
No,
at all.
me either.
Mine,
Nope.
yeah, mine was just I don't know, it was just the meat, without the two slices of bread on each side. There was nothing sandwiched around. Get it done now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's got the criticism sandwich might also be kind of like the spin-off of like the participation trophy. Like everybody's a winner. Like you showed up, you lost, but you still played it, or something. It's like that whole era
Uh-huh.
of like thinking where you try to say something that's nice, but then get across your point of, like you said, leadership or criticism, but then follow it up with again something that is not from the heart or even true or meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where else I don't ever see the criticism sandwich is on my most of my negative comments on my YouTube channel.
Now there, yeah. See, now there is a place that the criticism sandwich could come out and be used. I think because yeah, I don't see that either.
I don't see it at all. Yeah.
It might be
uh,
more difficult to type it out though than say it. So I can yeah.
yeah. I think that's one thing I always appreciated about the firewood community is for most people. Now I'm saying this incorrectly. I think 99% of our people are just very nice people. They just want to hang out and enjoy what's going on. Now, there is that group that will speak their mind. I used to work at this tire shop. There's a lot of truck drivers that were in there, and that's where I learned. Truck drivers tell you what's on their mind. I always appreciated that. Even if you didn't really want to hear it, they would at least tell you, they wouldn't sugarcoat their messages or hide it, giving you some complicated message.
You're right. Straight to
They
the
would
point.
literally, yeah, they would let you know what it is. I think that's the same way it is in the wood yard too. I see that in the culture of a woodhound. But for a criticism sandwich, I get a lot of these comments too. I'm only talking about the negative ones, which are few and far between. Some of them, I try to reply to all my comments. What I found is when it's like the next day or the day after a video post, I just can't get back to them. So those might go uncommented. But some of these negative comments, I don't even know how to respond because they're just, I don't know. Like the criticism just it's not even valid.
Right. Yeah. And there's certain people out there that is, I think, they will only ever comment in a negative fashion. Like they won't ever say it. They're kind of like me. They can't compliment. It's like older people. How you ever notice how everything is negative, and no matter what you do or say, they find something wrong with it. It's like
Debbie Downer from
yeah.
Saturday Night Live.
I just bought 20 acres over here by this lake. Yeah, well, there's not many trees on it. It's like
Yeah,
something negative that people always look for. And I think there's just those people out there that,
that's just the way they're wired.
yep, yeah.
Yeah. I had some comments this week that kind of annoyed me. And the one I had, my policy is you can say anything you want. The only two things, no cussing and no politics. Although I have violated my own rule because, like, some people will start criticizing another person. Like I had this one guy had a problem with my mom, which I'm pretty sure he never met her. So therefore, you got to go, bud. I'm sorry. You're not going to talk about her. And I get this comment about, I don't know if you get comments like this, where the way I am doing firewood violates a masculine code.
Oh, I get it. I get many of
It's just,
those.
yeah, it's just weird because I don't know how to reply to that because I don't know. I graduated high school back in the 80s and I've worked through a lot of these issues. I have. And I don't see, my reply to this guy would have been, I don't see my activity in firewood as an expression of masculinity,
Yeah.
where he
I
obviously did.
There's a lot of people who do not. I get comments the same. I split my wood too small. Oh, you have small wood. Like some kind of correlation between the size of the wood you split and how big of a man you are. Like if you split small wood, you're a little man. If you
Like
split big
wimpy,
wood,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know
Which
what
I
it
think
is.
is ironic because if you're splitting it smaller, that means you're swinging that axe even more. So
Well,
that should, in theory, make you more, not
if you
less.
swing an axe, but there ain't that ain't me. I will admit right there, I'm not a man enough to swing an axe. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I had this guy. He said he was denouncing me because the logs that was processing weren't big and they weren't crooked.
No.
Therefore, that was an affront to my identity as a male.
Yeah, I can see that totally.
Oh, I was
Yep.
like, God, these things are just so silly. I would rather discuss bark up, bark down, than than this. That was, I don't know. Those are the kind of comments I just can't even reply to. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah, and that's I struggle keeping up with comments, and I don't set aside a much time to reply. So sometimes you don't. If you leave a comment on a video, you may not get a reply from me just because I just get so far behind on it. But
Uh huh.
yeah, I don't know what you can say to someone to, first of all, you're not going to change their mind. And the way I've always looked at it as, like I've always looked at things as not everything needs a reaction. So if people leave a comment, maybe by them expressing anger and, just getting something off their chest towards me, maybe that made their day better. I don't know. Because when you think about it, like what how sad of a life are you living where you have to like rip on people about the size of the firewood they split and, you know, be negative about it. Like, I mean, come on. That's just
Yeah. I think it's reasonable to have debates on the size, but my
yeah.
position's always been, that's just how I make my money. But
Yeah.
I don't see it as, and that's what, now I'm confusing my own self. Was this the comment I deleted or not? About about the the size of the splits. My firewood is so small that I am less of a man.
Yeah.
It's just silly. And
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. I mean, I've been out of high school way too long here to even go down this road right now.
Well, and the other thing too is like, I mean, like I just had one where a guy said, "Why do you split so small? Split it in half and be done with it." Obviously, you're not splitting for heating. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not. And what does it matter to you what
Yeah.
size anyone else is splitting their firewood? Because it has zero impact on your life unless you're buying that firewood. And then if you are buying the firewood that's too small, buy it somewhere else. It's
Yeah.
just, it's, yeah. It's,
I had another guy, um it was on a video. I was showing that my wood yard's getting filled up with logs coming off the log trucks. And he pointed out that if I believe that what I'm looking at is full, then I'm obviously a small firewood company. As if, as if that was bad. I just,
yes.
I don't even know where to begin. And I take pride in being a small firewood delivery service. So what's wrong with that?
Right. Your wood yard is not half full, it's half empty.
Yeah. I would imagine that is the same person or that same mentality that, when they see you splitting with a processor or a firewood, a hydraulic splitter, that they denounce you because they split with an axe and they're faster than you.
Yes, all the time. Every time you use a hydraulic splitter or a processor, there's somebody out there with an axe or a maul that can do it faster. It's no matter what it is. And because you are using a machine, it gets back to that again. You are not a man. You have to stand behind that
Ah,
processor and pull those levers. Look at you. You're just, how do you even consider yourself a man? My goodness.
oh, yeah. I just hate that entire discussion. I don't know if it was because I raised daughters or what, but I'm just sensitized now to this entire, I don't know. That's like what I'm saying. It's just I'm just so disinterested in that entire topic that I just don't even feel like replying to it. I don't know. It's just, to me, things are just self-evident, and let people live
Yeah.
the way they want to live.
Yeah, it's an interesting approach when you are, when you're the one receiving the comments. I know some people take the approach of anytime they get a negative comment, they try to respond with something, nice and all. Thank you for your feedback. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. I appreciate you being here. Like, but it's at some point you also have to be like, all right, either call the guy out or like you said, just don't even respond. Don't even respond. It's just not worth getting into that stuff because people out there who leave those type of comments, they are always right. You'll never change their mind. And so why waste your time?
Yeah. I think that there is an adult skill that I have learned, and I taught this to my kids when they were younger. I felt that it was appropriate for them to know this skill. It is called listen but ignore. So, and that was what I employed with this regional manager that came out there, because I'm thinking, number one, I'm thinking this guy will never see me again forever and ever. What are the chances? And number two, I'm going to do what the manager says because he's in charge. I'm just not going to get him in trouble. So I just, oh yes, absolutely, I understand. We'll make this happen. Then when he leaves, I was like, yeah, whatever.
Listen and ignore. I
Yeah.
think that's what my wife does to me.
Well, we learned that in softball. So a lot of these
Oh,
softball players in travel, they'll have their own private hitting instructor, that they pay money to, for hitting lessons. And I'm of the person that says there's no perfect way that you hit. You just learn your own style and you go with it. So what happens is that these kids go to these expensive hitting instructors, and then they go to their travel team. Well, their coach knows better, and they'll say, instead of turning your hands here, turn them like this. That kind, little mechanical things. So I teach my daughters, listen but ignore. And I've learned with like other coaches is that you just swing the bat again. They go, there, you see how much better that is? Even though you did,
you
even though
didn't
you did
change
nothing
anything.
different. Yeah. Listen but ignore.
I like it.
Uh-huh.
I like that. So everyone out there listening to this podcast, listen but ignore.
Yeah, this might be the one you want to ignore.
This might be one you don't want to pay any attention to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dan and I were talking before about some comments that we had. They were by different people too, but we've noticed that there is this recurring theme through them of firewood as an expression of masculinity.
Yeah.
And I just disagree with all that. I mean, we got how many women woodhounds that are out there. I know my daughters work hard in stacking and working around the wood yard and all. And to each their own. I hear people that denounce bundles because they say that's what women buy, and I just think that's just stupid to say these things.
Yeah.
Come
But
on.
but it is an interesting I guess topic of discussion. I just had someone stop by last week to pick up some firewood, and they know that I have a YouTube channel and do the social media thing, and we just got talking, and that was the first thing they asked me about was how do I deal with all the comments and the negative comments. So it is an area of interest for people. Like that's one thing people notice about social media is just how, like, someone that creates content, how you handle negative comments, what do you do about it? Because sometimes it can get to be there's more negative than good.
Yeah. There was a YouTube channel. He's still got his videos out there, but I don't think he puts anything new up. His name was Tim, and his channel was largely splitting wood with a maul. And this guy was a mountain of a man, big guy, and he swung a big maul, and he was just fun to watch. If you love watching that satisfying sound and the wood splitting and the stacking and stuff. But I think what got him away from it, I could tell he could not tolerate negativity, because people like would thumbs down his video, and he would comment on it on the next video, and
Oh, yep.
which just invites more of the
Yeah.
trolls, so yeah, like I said, some people can handle it and some people can't. I generally, I my refrain is I've been cursed with very high self-esteem. I don't know why. It's just the way I am. Maybe it's because I held the light for my dad when he was working on the cars when I was little. I just, and I've always recognized too that what people criticize me about, why should I get upset? Because it's usually true. So, but I think it's not that it's directed at me, but just some of these comments are just, I don't know.
Yeah. I've been blessed with the fact that my keyboard comes with a backspace button. So I can delete my responses most of the time before I hit send. I'll type something up and be like, "Oh, wait, okay. Backspace delete. Never mind. I'm not going to reply." So there we go. We found out a few things today here. When you run a 405 processor in a yard half full of logs, you're not a man.
Jeez. Yeah, I can't remember how it was worded, but like my processor's too small
Oh
and
yes.
the logs that I'm running through it are too small and they're too straight.
Yeah.
Therefore, everything I am doing is invalid.
Another one I love is the people who reply and say something like, "I'd like to see you run some hard ironwood through that," or "I'd like to see you run some Florida, black oak or something."
Yeah.
It's like,
Good thing I live in Ohio.
yeah, or are you saying that the whatever black pin oak in Florida can't be split because if it's been split before, it can probably be split by a machine.
Yeah.
It's like this wood is not impossible to split, and so like
Oak
our
splits easy anyways.
People from Australia always say run some whatever that wood is they have down.
Eucalyptus.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's like, well, I don't have any. All right, try. you know,
I always wonder about that when they think that you're splitting something too easy. You should try splitting a tough wood like oak. Yeah, I
yeah,
think oak splits easy. I always wondered, like, I was afraid to ask that question because I thought, maybe, I don't know, I thought oak splits easy, but whatever.
yeah. It's one of the easiest splitting woods there is.
Yeah. I had the one guy, I have these videos on Facebook of the Axis, and they say, why these guys with these splitters just split straight grain wood, and it's like, well, this is the wood I got to split right now. Sorry,
Yeah.
and then
What-
he's like, well, you're just splitting pine, and I said, well, this is ash. It isn't pine. But we've talked about this before. I've run across some pine logs that don't split, man. It's tough.
Oh, yeah. The knotty
Yeah.
pine, you
Yeah.
get some. They get deep. Those knots go deep into the
Hmm.
log. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I these kind of comments I just laugh at. I think that's funny.
And I will say, as the other point to make quick is, if you are, a content creator and you are in the same position, the one thing you have to always remember to put the smile back on your face is, if they leave you a negative comment, it probably means they watched your video, and the watch and the comment actually help you out.
Yeah. I would also tell them there's a lot of other channels that I cursor through, and they'll have comments that their viewers have left and they didn't reply to them. And I think that's a missed opportunity, especially if you are a small channel and you're trying to grow and you got, I don't know, 10, 15 comments. I think you should reply to every single one of them. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's all you have and you have the time to put in to do it, I would definitely say that's one of the biggest ways to increase your engagement with your audience. And then maybe get some people that will, when they see a negative comment on your channel, they'll reply to it and put these bullies in their place.
So I guess what we're trying to say to the new YouTube channel that's trying to grow their channel size is, we really like your content. Holy cow, will you please reply to every single one of your comments? And nice shoes.
And there you go. Perfect.
The criticism sandwich for you. Yes, we'll begin and end this episode with the criticism sandwich. So
I like it.
Well,
I
Dan,
like it.
yeah, Dan, yeah, I thought that this was kind of fun. I don't know about the comments. Maybe I am a little conflicted by them, but I think it's the comments that I just can't find even the right reply to. I just scratch my head and move on. All right. Well, Dan, what do you say? Let's maybe fire up the band. Let's strike up the band, and let's get outside and stack wood before this heat gets too high in the afternoon.
Sounds good. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this little, I guess, maybe not so much a rant, but just a little discussion on some of the joys that we see running YouTube channels and social media content creation.
And if you would like to send a comment about this episode, Dan, what is our email address?
thewoodhounds@gmail.com.
I love it. All right, so I will tell everyone out there to have
a great day.